There's a certain modern reflex that kicks in anytime the words leak, press, and prosecution show up in the same sentence. People reach for the Constitution like it's a fire extinguisher, pull the pin, spray it everywhere. Assume it solves the problem, job done, case closed. But this one isn't that neat, not even close. A pilot goes down in hostile territory, information leaks. And just like that, we're arguing in real time about whether putting that information out there is some kind of public service or something a lot uglier, something that can get people killed if it goes sideways. That's the tension. Calling it just another free speech debate feels a little too easy, maybe even a little dishonest. The First Amendment matters, obviously. It's the backbone of the whole experiment. Without it, you don't get accountability, you don't get investigative reporting, you don't get the long list of moments where the public learned something it wasn't supposed to know but absolutely needed to. Governments do lie, they obscure, they classify things that are less about safety and more about saving face. That part isn't controversial if you've been paying attention for more than 5 minutes. So yes, there is a real argument that protecting leaks, even messy ones, keeps power from sealing itself off completely, and once that door shuts, it tends not to open again. That concern is real, earned, historical. Pick your decade and you'll find receipts. But here's where the conversation starts to drift into something a little detached from reality. Not every leak is the Pentagon Papers. Not every leaker is a conscience-driven whistleblower staring down institutional rot. Sometimes it's just someone moving information they were trusted to protect. And sometimes that information is live, operational, time-sensitive, the kind of thing that actually affects whether someone makes it home or not. A downed pilot is not a policy debate, it's not a memo from 6 months ago. It's a situation unfolding minute by minute with people making decisions in the dark, hoping the dark stays dark long enough to do their job. When that kind of information hits the public stream too early, you're not informing democracy. You're potentially lighting a flare over someone's position and hoping nobody hostile is looking up. This is the part where the absolutist argument starts to wobble. Free speech in the United States has never been absolute. Not in any serious legal sense. There are limits tied to direct harm, imminent danger, national security concerns that aren't just theoretical constructs, but grounded in the very real mechanics of how conflicts and operations work. You can argue about where those limits sit. You should argue about that. But acting like they don't exist is just intellectual laziness dressed up as principle. The Constitution protects a lot. It does not guarantee the right to disclose sensitive operational details in the middle of an active military situation without consequence. And it never has. There's also a difference, and it matters more than people like to admit, between exposing wrongdoing and exposing vulnerability. One shines a light on power, the other can expose the people operating under that power to immediate risk. Timing is everything here, and it's usually ignored because it complicates the narrative. Leak something after the fact when the dust settles. When the mission is over. When the analysis can be done without someone bleeding out in the background. That's one category. Leak something while it's still unfolding. While decisions are still being made. While someone is still out there waiting to be found or not found. That's another category entirely. And collapsing those two into the same moral bucket is, frankly, dishonest. So where does that leave it? Somewhere uncomfortable, which is probably the honest place. You can defend the necessity of a free press, insist on limits to government secrecy, push back hard against the tendency to overclassify, all of that stands. At the same time, there are lines. Not vague ones, not theoretical ones, real ones. You cross them, especially in a way that puts people in immediate danger, and it stops being protected dissent. It becomes something else. A breach. The kind you don't get to walk back once it's out there. The law already wrestles with this, not cleanly, not perfectly, but it does. So acting like this is some brand new crisis, like we've never had, to weigh speech against consequence before, that misses the point entirely. My view is not complicated, even if the surrounding argument is. If someone leaks information about an active situation that could compromise operations or endanger personnel, that person should be prosecuted fully, without the rhetorical shield of, but free speech, absorbing all scrutiny. There are other ways to challenge power that don't involve rolling the dice with someone else's life. Call it harsh, call it unsentimental, maybe it is. But there's a difference between holding institutions accountable and casually increasing the odds that a bad situation turns fatal. That difference matters, even if it's inconvenient, even if it ruins the cleaner narrative people would rather tell themselves. B.R. Wilson, the Bipartisan Patriot.